Hi everyone, this is MonteCristo from ggChronicle. I just wanted to clear up some issues about what happened today. Obviously there's a lot to talk about in terms of what happened on site, but I wanted to record this as soon as possible to try and clear up any misconceptions, at least in as far as I can. Of course, I don't know the full story as press, and I don't think many of us will ever know exactly what happened. But I can tell you what my experience was being press on site. I spent the entire day in the kind of press and player area at ESPN Zone. So, as many of you know, the issues first started when the first disconnect happened in Game 2 of CLGEU versus World Elite. I think everybody was very surprised. Basically, what happened on our screen was that we saw the players attempting to reconnect, and our streams didn't go down. And because we had a live feed at the event, ESPN Zone had all the TVs showing the screens from the game and the live broadcast, but we had a direct feed from the audience. Basically, we had what the audience was seeing. So while you guys were seeing nothing, it was a lot of Jat, D-Man Freak, and DJ Wheat doing an amazing job of filling time for the audience in the venue. How I knew initially that there was a site-wide internet problem was that the press Wi-Fi network went down at exactly the same time, and I picked up on that and just went to Twitter immediately trying to tell people what was going on. So it was not just limited to the streams. As far as I know, I suspect that it was not a problem at all with Owned or Twitch. Owned or Twitch crashed because my guess is that there were 500,000 people hitting refresh, and I know this because in the last, or I suspect this because in the last tournament that ggChronicle ran, or the first tournament, excuse me, that ggChronicle ran, we had 40,000 people watching. One of our streamers' computers blue screened, and we had 40,000 people hit refresh, and that kind of caused Own to seize up for a little bit. So having 500,000 people doing that is obviously a scale of magnitude greater, and caused probably the issues that they were trying to address. After that, of course, the regame was decided. It was very early in the game, and so we went into the third game, which was technically the second game, and that went to 55, 57 minutes, something like that, till CLGU was in the middle of a base team fight outside of the middle nexus with World Elite. CLGU had Baron, and they had an advantage that was not overwhelming, but significant for that point in the game. And a regame then occurred after that. Again, the press network went out. At that point, a lot of more, the further reconnection issues happened as we started another game, and that happened more quickly. And at that point, Riot halted the broadcast and did more filler, and then brought up the, waiting for the announcement screen. This is, of course, going over a period of several hours. I have been told by Riot that there were internal and external connection issues, and that was the cause of the postponement. Obviously, I don't have anything to go by besides that Riot was saying this. Leaguepedia and Travis from State of the League were doing some excellent tweeting from behind the scenes while I was doing interviews inside during this downtime. And I think they probably got a better picture of it than I did, but they were saying that, again, it was connection issues. There was a rumor of it being a DDoS, but I think that has been disproved now, though we may see evidence about that in the future. Other than that, I don't know what there is to say. I can give my editorial comments on it, that it's a pretty awful thing for esports. I think everybody is disappointed in what happened. Slasher and Carmack kind of called me out on Twitter for using the phrase "act of God," which does not imply anything for those people who don't know the American legal idiom. I work in a law firm as my day job, and that act of God just means a unaccounted for freak accident. It's a contract term. So I'm sorry if that confused anybody. It's an American legal expression, and I, as a a journalist, I should know better than to use those kind of idioms in that situation, but that's what I did. But I don't think that anybody could have accounted for this in terms of what happened. The stream numbers were record-breaking for this event, and I think that this is a growing pain of esports now. This is going to be a day in esports and that will be remembered for a long time, and I'm very sad about it because I love esports and have been working in this field for 8 years, and I wish it hadn't have happened, especially at such an amazing event otherwise. I think besides this, Riot did a great job of providing people with a really incredible experience, both for the players and the journalists and the fans that were there. The atmosphere was absolutely electric. The venue was amazing. But of course, this was a pretty massive slip up, and there's not really anything that can be said besides like it was a pretty big screw up in my personal opinion. And I hope that we don't see anything like this again. And I think that esports fans, I think that there's a lot to think about in the coming week as the remainder of the matches are going to be playing. I think this has marked the competition indelibly, and that it's going to be very difficult to recover from this. Of course, now that CLG, EU, and World Elite have played so many games against each other, now they know their strategies better. That has tilted the balance of the competition. The players, I did an interview with Alex Ich, which will be up later after this, but he, when I interviewed him, had not been given any updates as to whether he was playing tonight, so there was a bit of a failure in communication with the teams. In terms of whether they would actually be expected to go on at 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock a.m. if this event was to continue tonight. And that will, of course, give teams more time to prepare for each other in the coming few days, less time to prepare for the eventual finals match, the World Championship held on Saturday. And that's obviously a huge issue in terms of competition. And this is something that none of the teams and none of the staff could have accounted for, but it will mark this competition very seriously. I don't know what to say about it other than that, and that it's very saddening. And from a press perspective, I can tell you that none of us really had any idea what was going on besides what we were seeing, and the few dribbles of information that was coming out, and my own observations from being there about the general network connectivity, and that there was a communication breakdown to a certain degree amongst the teams and Riot, because I think they were working very hard to keep the event rolling and keep people interested. And to their credit, they were handing out tons of free pizzas to the audience. They were trying to make people as comfortable as possible. They were doing tons of giveaways, but there are many fans, I think, and myself included, that are going to be very sad that people flew in from around the world to come to this event, and they didn't get to see the end of the quarterfinals or the semifinals with their favorite teams. And perhaps some of these people have to go back to their home countries or back home in America, and they're not going to be able to see the competition that they paid to come and see. And that's pretty tragic. Other than that, I think that's about all. I will answer questions if people ask me them about this event. And I hope that you enjoyed what you saw. And I think that as a community, we should come together and talk about what this means for esports and what the appropriate course of action is going forward in this massive tournament. And I think that it will broaden the discussion and make for a deeper community in the end. And let's have a chat. Anyway, guys, like I said, let's have a talk. And this has been MonteCristo from ggChronicle. Thanks a lot.